Okay, after a very long hiatus, let's finally talk about why Telltale's The Walking Dead is still amazing.
Well, I reckon you didn't do it then.
Have you ever hurt somebody you care about?
Not on purpose.
If it were on purpose, you'd be a sociopath.
You're a convicted killer. And I think people should know. Not because they deserve to, and not because you're a bad man. I think the opposite of those two things.
Would he have killed you?
I don't know.
This video isn't going to be overly long. I'm just going to be very direct and focused in on this one. If you guys were here for part 1, you'll know that the structure of that video was more focused around the story and the characters, and we pretty much went over everything that episode 1 had to offer. This is going to be a different kind of video. Instead of being one big summary of each episode, we'll more so be diving deep into the themes of The Walking Dead. When it is appropriate, we will end up talking about certain story points. So, let's talk about redemption. What does it mean to be redeemed? Most stories that have major redemption arcs for certain characters will tell you that if you have done bad in the past, one or more acts of good will wash away that dark past. Obviously, it's not as simple as that in real life. People who have done bad things don't get the easy way back in. It's often a very long and arduous road. This is a theme that The Walking Dead tackles throughout each of the 5 episodes, and this is because of Lee. When we meet Lee, he's being shipped to prison for the murder of a Georgia senator, so going into the game, his past is stained with blood, which makes each encounter with the other characters far more interesting. In the first episode, Lee is trying his hardest to hide his past from the rest of the group, and in episode 3, when he's revealing his past to the rest of the group, most of them don't really care about what happened in the past. You could even say that some might see it as a positive. At face value, this can be seen as pretty disturbing, but in a world full of danger and death, violence becomes much more acceptable. If the world changes, can people change too? Or are they set in their ways? In episode 2, Starve for Help, Lee gives in to violence once again, but it wasn't towards a walker this time around.
Kill me!
This is the first time Lee has killed another human since the Senator, and even though killing Danny was in self-defense and justified, it still takes a toll on Lee, and puts his relationship with Clementine into jeopardy, which is why he spares Andy. Lee is afraid of what he could become. Lee is looking for a way to be forgiven for his past mistakes. Even though the world is dead and gone, Clementine and the rest of the group is enough for Lee to prove that he isn't what the old world claimed he was. But the problem with finding redemption in a world full of danger is that it can get you killed if you aren't careful. At that point, is it really worth it?
No. No. No.
When this moment happens, the answer is yes for Lee. He's willing to go through hell and back to save the most important person in his life, even if that means he has to kill someone to do it. He knows he's going to die, he just wants to make sure that Clementine is going to be safe and that she's prepared for the trials ahead of her. Even though Lee still had to take a life in order to save Clementine, he dies knowing that he was able to save her, and for Lee, that's enough. Circling back to the moment where Lee gets bit, it really drives home the secondary theme for the game, which is time. Time is such a precious commodity. We are always worried about how we use it. Do we spend our time honing in on our passions and artistic ventures? Do we spend our time with friends and family? What is the best use of our time? In The Walking Dead, the time each character has is important. The reason to keep living in a world like this is because you have people around you that love and care about you. And at the start, it seems like they have nothing but time. Nobody is threatening them, and they keep walkers at bay with little to no problems. But as the series continues, they keep getting pressured into life-threatening situations, and thus, their time is put into jeopardy. It really starts to become apparent in episode 3 when Duck is bitten and slowly starts to die. Kenny is in denial the whole way through, saying that he'll be just fine, but also knowing that his time is running short. And when the time finally comes for him to take care of Duck, tragedy strikes twice.
Look, Clem, things are... What the? No! Ben, take Clementine into the train. Go. It'll be fine.
Cat! Gotcha!
The regret that Kenny feels is immense. Knowing that he could have been there for Katja and Duck when he wasn't completely breaks him. He wishes he could have been a good father and husband to his family when they were at their lowest point. In his head, he thought he was doing the right thing, trying to rush to Savannah for the boat, but he only realized the error of his ways until it was too late. Episode 5 is the epitome of a race against time. Lee getting bit triggers the countdown to his inevitable death, so he has to make the best out of the time he has left. Kenny sees the place that Lee is in right now and vows to make sure that he can make it to Clementine. He knows all too well what it's like to fail your loved ones and doesn't want Lee to have to go through that. After all, they are good friends. Thankfully, after going through a horde of walkers, Lee is able to make it to Clementine just in time. The final scene in the game is rather infamous, not for anything egregious, but because of how incredibly well executed it is. The point-and-click part of the scene is not as important as the dialogue section, where you are basically saying goodbye to Clementine. It's a string of gut punches, knowing that you only have a few minutes left to make sure that she'll be okay. Depending on how you decide to handle the ending, Clementine will either shoot Lee or leave him to die, and, well, this is how my playthrough ends. And that's really why this game is as amazing as I tout it. Everything I've spent about, I don't know, the last 8 or 9 minutes babbling on about is all gleaned from my playthrough of the game. There are tons of people who have played this game that have their own read on different situations that the characters go through. The vast amount of outcomes and opinions that the game has created is staggering to me. I have a friend that I gifted the whole series to, and when we came together to start talking about our decisions that we made in the game, we had very different opinions on how we handled certain moments in the game. I think that's kind of an amazing feeling. It's similar to how people talk about the last 2 Zelda games. Each person playing is going to have a different experience and different interpretations of certain things the game presents to them. But the fact that they did this in a linear, story-driven adventure game is quite phenomenal to me. In conclusion, this game is one of those I love to go back to once every 5 years or so. It's something that has stuck with me for the last 11 years, and I actually think about this game quite often because there are just characters and moments in this game that will just never leave my head. To put it as simply as I possibly can, I love this game, and I'm very glad I got to experience this game when I did. So yeah, that's it. Part 2 is officially done. It was probably a lot shorter than you guys were anticipating, but that's just because for the amount of time that I have outside of this, it is appropriate for me to make it as short as possible. But I'm hoping that even though it was short, I got to say something substantive, I guess. I don't know, but we'll see. I want to cap off the video by saying thank you to everyone that has stuck with me for the last probably year or so now. I decided to take making videos a bit more seriously around the time Ghostwire Tokyo came out, and that lasted for the better part of 7 to 8 months, I want to say. And then I moved, and I got caught up in that, lost motivation on wanting to make videos, and became very wishy-washy on what I wanted to do outside of work during the week, other than playing games, of course. So I finally sat down and started to think about how to approach making videos in a way that wouldn't overwhelm me, and found a happy medium to move forward with. So I'm happy to say that I'm going to be making videos again. I have no set schedule, I'm just going to make stuff and publish it whenever, so once again, thank you guys so much for sticking with me through this rough patch, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Not sure what I'm going to make the next video on, but whatever it ends up being, it should be really fun. So, again, thank you guys so much, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys later.